afternoon and welcome back to Manifesting Me. Appreciate all of you for coming back in, where we'll be talking with Adam Mora today about his mental health and how he's built his businesses throughout the last couple years. Welcome, Adam. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. So before we just jump into where I'm going to pick apart your brain, tell me a little bit about your businesses and kind of like your background.
Sure. So as of January, I started with Remax Elite at Elite Summit. So I'm a realtor. I help people buy and sell homes. And this past July, I started a car dealership with my brother-in-law, Jeremy Stein, and we sell cars now. So I got two businesses I'm running.
What made you, and what were you doing before that?
I was working in manufacturing. I was making helping make medicine.
Oh, cool.
Yep, I was doing that for about 10 years.
Wow. So that, I mean, to leave something that is just kind of, a secure paycheck to going off on your own, what was that leap of faith for you?
Well, a year before I quit my job, which would be January, my brother-in-law and I were buying cars through his friend, and we did that all year. We bought cars cash, and we resold them, and we did that for 1 year, and we said, man, we could just do this ourselves and open a dealership. So we went that route, and it's done pretty well so far.
Nice. And so I'm not familiar with like how a dealership is ran at all. What is there, like funding you had to get? Was there a whole bunch of paperwork?
Oh yeah. So there's a lot of moving parts, but we do everything ourselves. So I'm definitely still learning. I don't have it all figured out yet, but we do have some flooring companies. They float us like $300K, something like that. So we use their money to buy the vehicles, and then we resell them. And then when I get that money from the customer, I pay it off the vehicle, and we just keep the profit.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah. So you have like a line of credit, basically.
Exactly, yep.
A line of credit. And so with your realty, are you in Kansas and Missouri?
I'm licensed in both Kansas and Missouri, yes.
And, I mean, with the housing market and everything right now, has it, I mean, I do estates, as you know, so
right.
It's like, 1 minute, I feel like oh no, nobody's supposed to be calling me.
It's all good.
And 1 minute, in 2020, it was just like hotcakes,
yeah.
And then I saw the takedown in 2021.
It's slowing down a little bit,
yeah.
But it's still, I mean.
With spring coming, I'm assuming it's going to.
Supply and demand, right? So there's still not enough houses out there. So the market is still hot. But with interest rates rising, it kind of slowed down the buyers a little bit. But, I mean, it's still definitely a seller's market, I believe. That's my opinion.
If I wanted to, right now, start looking for a house, how would I go about that?
You can contact a realtor first. The best thing to do is, find a loan officer so you can get your finances in order, so you can figure out how much you can spend for a house. And then once you do that, you can contact a realtor, and we can go through the process of finding one. That's
cool. I had heard through the grapevine that before the pandemic happened,
right.
I think it was like 660, or like there was, there's parameters to buying a house.
Credit score and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit, and the housing just went crazy, and so they had made it more accessible for certain people to buy houses, and like we're handing out different types of grants and things like that.
Sure.
Is that still?
Again, that's more on the loan officer side. I don't get too much into that,
Fair.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm like, I try not to tell other people. I'm like, I don't know either, man.
Well, I just want to make sure that they get that advice from a professional. I try to stay in my lane, so I don't want to give anybody bad advice.
That's some good advice, is to not give bad advice. I mean, I always tell people when I'm walking through a house for an estate is like, if there's something in the house that I don't have any idea, they're like, hey, how much do you think? I'm like, the best advice I can give is that I know nothing.
Right.
There's somebody out there. I will find them for you, but there's someone that knows more than me about this, and I'm going to get them involved.
And I could definitely be the resource to point you in the right direction for that question. But as of right now, I don't want,
Yeah.
I don't want to give the wrong information.
Right. Yeah. Smart. So I guess let's dive into some of the mental health aspects of doing all of that, because you have, two sons, and so you're a family man on top of these multiple businesses.
Definitely.
How do you keep your consistency? That takes a lot of consistency and scheduling.
It does. So let me give a shout out to my wife, first of all. I couldn't do anything without my wife.
Hey girl.
She definitely holds it down at home, and she allows me to be able to, take off if I need to for a business deal or anything like that. So without her, I wouldn't be able to do what I do right now. Let's get that.
Yeah, let's get that straight.
Let's get that straight, because I definitely, because in any business, it takes multiple people. I mean, there's a lot to do, and you have to be able to delegate those certain tasks to people. because there's just way too much to do in one day. So you can't do it all. So finding good help and, the right people is very important.
And so you have a business partner with the cars, and then
Yes.
I'm assuming with the realty company,
That's just me.
it's just you, but
Right.
are you part of a team?
Not a team, but I'm a part of a brokerage.
Okay.
Remax Elite. They're at Elite Summit. Before I got with them, I was with a different brokerage for like 2 or 3 months, and it was not the same. They didn't help very much, and
They just threw you
at
in.
this stage, yeah, they just threw you in there, and like at this stage of the game, you really need somebody to hold your hand and kind of show you the ropes and what to learn first. Because there's many steps. So the brokerage I'm at now, their training is like, it's in the name, elite. I mean, it's just the best training. They're hands-on with you. They're willing to show you everything they know. I mean, it's just a great place to be.
So for anyone that wants to start your real estate license in the upcoming year, what would you like if you had 2 things you wanted to tell people to avoid a brokerage, like just red flags off the jump to say, hey, if you see this, don't go to this type of brokerage. What advice would you kind of give to somebody?
Right. So it's not like a regular job as far as, you go in for an interview. You're actually the one, once you get your license, you're the one interviewing the brokerages. You want to make sure it's the right place for you. So I would definitely say, ask the brokerage, what kind of trainings do you guys provide? How are you going to help me get leads and stuff like that? Those are important questions to, figure out before you just jump into it with them.
Yeah, because I mean, in my experience, when I had my real estate license, you're paying them.
Oh, yeah.
You're paying them, so you better figure out
I like
what they
real
offer.
numbers. I mean, I probably pay a little over $6,000 a year just to have my license and pay all the, the fees and the dues and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if you're not willing to jump into this and really take it seriously, do not get into real estate. It's expensive, and sometimes it takes you a few months to get rolling,
Yeah.
So,
well, I work with a ton of different realtors that just call me and say, hey, I got a job for you guys. And I was speaking with some close friends that are realtors back in 2020, and they were like, man, like 30,000 new realtors just took the test that year, tried it that year, which is fantastic because everybody was figuring out in the pandemic that like, hey, we got to go find something to do.
Right.
But then more often than not, it's also they didn't realize that it looks easy.
Yeah.
Everyone says it looks easy, but...
Yeah, and I don't got the exact numbers, but I hear something like most real estate agents last about 2 or 3 years in the business, and then they're out. I mean, for most people, it's not a career where you stay in for a long time. And that's another thing, where I'm at, there's a lot of realtors who've been doing this for 40 plus years. I mean, I'm not even 40 years old, so they've been doing this longer than I've been alive. So having those kind of people in your corner to help you out and give you advice, crucial.
Definitely. I think in business in general, find an old head and stick with them. If you're not afraid to learn and you're not afraid to be, green is what we call it.
Exactly.
Be green on the ears, take advice, be open to people, because if you are stubborn or again, if you feel like you know everything, then what's the point?
And I think the biggest thing in business is being able to adapt.
Yep.
I mean, because the market changes all the time. You just told me, back 2 years ago, the market was high.
Yeah, 48 hours ago. Yeah,
exactly. So if you can't adapt to the market and, change your strategies around a little bit, you're not going to make it.
And I think, would you say this is true that like you'd have to be, and this kind of goes back to the consistency, is you're not getting, so all of this work you do in real estate, you're not getting paid till the house sells.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
sometimes it's, 30 days out. And just imagine if you don't have any leads, it could be 60 days till you get paid, 90 days
minimum, and you still have to go there. You still have to like get cleaners.
You still gotta pay your dues. You still gotta, you gotta do all kinds of stuff, and it's tough.
Do you do any paid ads for your?
I do not. I know a lot of realtors, especially in the beginning. They want to call Zillow right away and try to get leads that way, but again, the brokerage I'm at, they show you a better way. There's always a good, better, best, as my broker likes to say. And the best way is, go out there and get the leads yourself, shake hands, meet people. That's the best way, because you're not coming out of pocket for that. It's all free. So.
That's true. And I think in a lot of instances, I mean, obviously there's some companies that are more online based and it would make more sense.
Sure.
When we talk a big money, I want to shake your hand. I want to know who's going to be handling my $150,000+ house. This is a big commitment to my family.
Right, because real estate, I mean, that's the biggest purchase most people make is, buying a house. So you have to be with somebody you trust, somebody who knows what they're talking about, who's confident. All those are very, very important things to
I know. If I walked in on a real estate agent and they were like, "Yeah, I don't know. I'll be like, okay,
next agent.
Yeah, next agent. I don't want to do this. We got lucky when we bought our first house. It was my grandma needed to get up and out because it's of 5 tier, so just like tons of stairs, and so we got lucky. We didn't have to deal with a real estate agent at that time. But I always, when we were looking for houses, we got the approval and all that stuff. We were looking for places, and we met with one lady to look at a house. And the half of the house was like sunk in the ground. And she was like, wow. "Oh yeah, that's," I'm like, "Your foundation's gone. Like, why don't you put that in the ad?"
And that could be like the biggest, the most expensive problem to have could be like foundation, roof, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you got those kind of problems, you want to have a professional go in there and, fix it up before you sell to somebody else.
Do you subcontract? Like, so do you have, as a real estate agent, do you have like a team of people that you trust and call for stuff like that?
So I wouldn't say I have a team, but I definitely have a list of,
vendors.
Vendors and people who I would definitely recommend, highly recommend. I never recommend somebody who I've never worked with.
That's good. Yeah, I would say that'll sink you real quick.
Right. If they do a bad job, then they're looking at me like, "Man, why'd you recommend this person?"
I thought you said they were solid.
Exactly. Yeah. So you got to be careful who you recommend.
With your 2 sons and just you leaping into your entrepreneurship you said you're mid-30s, right? I don't want to like...
I'm going to be 35 next week.
Oh, 35. Yeah, 35. Happy early birthday. That's awesome. So, your sons have watched you. Your older son is what, 8 now?
No? He's 9. He'll be 10 this year, yeah.
Okay. And so he's seen this whole journey play out, whereas King is 3.
He's 3, yeah.
Hey, actually, I got it right.
Good, you got it.
So he's seen this whole thing play out as, you were working for a corporation, which nothing wrong with.
Sure.
And then you decided to go on your own.
Right.
How do you think that the consistency, or how do you think that is teaching him as he grows up to become an entrepreneur? And, I guess I missed this part, but tell me a little bit about your background of entrepreneurs in your family. Like, it's kind of a generational thing at this point, right?
Well, not really. I feel like I'm one of the first ones to kind of venture out and do my own thing. Yeah, my dad was a 9-to-5er.
Okay.
My dad gave me everything I ever wanted. I don't want to get that,
Yeah, don't get twisted, Dad.
Yeah. He gave me everything I ever wanted, but we were definitely paycheck to paycheck growing up, and I lived that way too, up until probably 2 or 3 years ago, and it's tough. It's very stressful, and it could wear on you. So I really just hated my job. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
I grew to hate my job. It was good for the time being, but during year 10, of being there, I'm like, it's got to be a better way, So again, me and my business partner started buying cars on the side while I was still working. We were buying cars on the side, flipped them. I'm like, okay, this is some real money now, So I thought, and so we just ventured out and we started our own company. Cool.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that once you get that, at least for me, like once I got that first blood of that entrepreneurial money, like this isn't about hourly. Right. This is about like I put in this and I got this back, and you want to just keep repeat, recycle.
Exactly. It changed my whole way of thinking. I mean, again, real numbers. I don't care. I was making $3,000. I was bringing in $3,000 a month, and my bills were like $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
How do you, that's stressful.
You
with
got
kids. 2 little ones.
Yep.
Me personally, I don't like my wife to work with my kids this little. I'd rather her be home with the kids and show them what they need to be learning and all that kind of stuff. So it was very important for me to,
give her that time.
Be able to, give her that time to be home. So I had to start making some real money and make some changes in my life. So that's what we did.
What things have you? Remind me your older son's name if you don't mind.
Jalen. Yeah, Jay. We call him Jay.
Okay, Jay.
Yeah.
So what, does Jay ever go with you? Like to jobs and stuff like that?
I have to drag him with me, but yeah. And I know he, like, especially lately, everything we do, I don't care, basketball, baseball, whatever, I always got to give a life lesson in it. And I try to show him like consistency. You do this every day, you'll be the best. It's not even a question. Maybe you will be the best. You got to, put in the time, be consistent with it every day, no days off. And if you do that, everything's going to be all right at the end. It's okay to suck. I tell them that all the time. It's okay to fail, but you got to keep going. And if you do, because most people don't do that. They fail or they don't even want to try, most people, so I try to get that.
Or they let the spectators, I played basketball in junior high, and they say white girl can't jump.
Sure,
And
so immediately your confidence goes down.
Immediately I was like, all right, well, I'll just play it, on the courtyard, and I won't like try to pay these extra fees. Who knows? I could have been the next Larry Bird.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
But you didn't try, right? So.
I know, which I think is so huge for just telling other small businesses, like when you're out there. It doesn't matter if you suck. It doesn't even matter how many times you fail, especially in the first year. Do you have like a specific moment in the first year or a specific thing where, you're dealing with kids, you're dealing with life, and then your businesses, and something happens, and you're just like, F this, and it made you think for a split second that I made the wrong call?
Yeah, like I said, I started in January with this brokerage, and like I didn't sell anything for a couple months. I'm like, no money's coming in. I got 2 little ones. My wife's at home. Like, okay, did I make the wrong decision? Like, can I do this? But by the grace of God, it picked up. I stayed with it, and I did really well this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So that consistency is all that matters.
Not giving up.
Not giving up.
Especially when you're failing. Like, when you fail, those are just life lessons, And if you take them as life lessons, you won't repeat those, and you just get better and better. And
well, for me,
okay.
and maybe I might repeat it just in a different way,
Right.
Like they say the universe keeps sending you the same lesson until you get it right. But that I think is what's so important, is just keeping the momentum. And do you have like affirmations? Do you do any of that in the morning? Do you journal? Like what's kind of like your daily routine?
Right.
Because being a realtor, you're self-motivated. If you don't get up and do A, B, and C, and you're not getting paid.
Right. So, some of the things I do, I have a to-do list every day, and I make sure I hit the most important thing first. That kind of brings me to a book I read. It's called Eat That Frog.
Okay.
And it kind of explains, I guess the book assumes that you already have a list to do. And it tells you to knock out that most important thing, because if you do that, that's going to build your momentum for the day, build your confidence, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's important to knock out the most important thing of your day first.
And what is your most important thing, if you don't mind me asking?
Every day is different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I have 2 businesses, right? So one day might call for me to go out there and do real estate duties, and another day might be some car duties, and they're both completely different.
Yeah, no, those are 2 completely different aspects of business. Mine, so I came from a military background, and so mine is make the bed. If I do not make the bed, then I'm pissed.
Yeah, and that goes along with what I'm saying. Like, it's important to, knock out tasks right away, so it kind of sets the tone for your day.
It does. It triggers your brain to move differently, to take a completely like, okay, I did this task.
Yep. And
like my dad always said, and it's just, if you get those couple of first things going, get that momentum up and going. This is kind of off key as far as the consistency, but like diet,
Sure.
You're on the go 24/7. Do you think that your diet affects?
No. Well, yes, your diet does affect your mental health and all that.
But
yes, for sure. But my diet is crap. Yeah.
Oh,
okay. It sucks. I mean, because I'm always on the go. I'm eating gas station food. I'm eating fast food. And it's not healthy for you, And I think that's the next part of my journey I'm trying to get in control, is my health, physical health. Because my first year was so on my mental and getting that right, and getting my spiritual right with God, and make sure all that's in order, which I think it is now. I'm pretty mentally strong. So now it's getting physically strong, right?
Yeah, no, I'm there with you, and you're in year 1, I'm in year 6, and I'm still so our job is very physical, and so I always like tell myself, like, I already lifted a dresser today and did this, and I don't need to go to the gym, but it's not working.
Those are excuses, though.
It is.
Because if you go to the gym, you're going to get a better workout. You're going to work out every part of your body that you need to. When you're moving stuff, you're just mostly arms and stuff like that.
It is. It's mostly arms. And then if we're being honest, in the last couple years, my team has spoiled me. So if I go to try to pick up a dresser or something,
I got it.
Yeah, they're like, get out the way, stop.
Yeah. Which that's awesome to have a good team, though. That's good.
It is, and it took me. I handpicked them one by one, and it was like. But sometimes I just have to get my little oomph in when I see someone that's like kind of arrogant. They see a cute little white girl that they're like, sweetheart, move out of the way. And I'm like, how about you move out of the way, sir? Like in my Batman voice.
In the way. I got you.
Let me deadlift this washing machine real quick just to show you I still got it.
That's awesome.
In that routine and in those changes, What would you say, like, the time frame? I mean, you gave yourself time, and I think that's huge, is, like, we all are on our own time frame. Some people get up on their feet in a year, and some people it takes a couple of years to get up on your feet. It really depends on the industry, too, like how much you can, how many resources you have. But to put the schedule that you have in place of those importances, like, how do you think that was, like, a game changer for you as far as, like, how did you put that in place?
So reading all these different books has like opened my mind up. You know, first of all, back when I was in high school, I read 0 books, and I mean 0. Like I didn't read it all, and I really still don't. I listen to a lot of audiobooks because I'm always in the car. So when I'm in the car, I just hit those audiobooks, and like I never listen to the radio anymore. So I'm filling myself with all this information that with these people they've already done it. You know, they're billionaires, millionaires, whatever, and they coach other people. And I just know that like your schedule is everything, you know. And for me, if I don't write it down, it's not going to get done. Because I have so many other things on that list that I have to get done. If I don't add something to that list, it's not gonna be real. It's not gonna get done. So your list and your to-do, list is very important.
I was gonna say, so the number one lie I tell to myself all the time is, I don't need to write it down. I'm gonna remember that, and then I literally get off one phone call and the other phone's ringing, and then I'm like, oh, yep. And then the Thursday that I was supposed to be there, the lady's like, hey, where are you at? I'm on my way.
Exactly. And in this line of business, stuff happens randomly that you're not even expecting. So when that stuff happens, if you don't have stuff written down, you're gonna forget it right away. For sure.
Well, and that's actually a great point. Like when that stuff comes up, how do you, sorry guys. How does that like affect you? You know, like just let's say you're at home 6:00, you've gotten what you thought was your list done, but as any business, now all of a sudden you got a call that the basement's flooded at one of the properties. Yeah. And how do you just like mentally check and go?
So if something happens randomly, I immediately, as soon as I get off the phone, I write it down, and then I address it if I need to right away or come back to it.
Right. See if it's something you can do the next day or priority wise. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. I would say like that is, do you ever find yourself writing do you have like a notebook you carry around, or do you write like a list and then?
I have an iPhone, so I just use the reminders.
Technology.
Yeah, technology. Yeah.
You don't need There's an app for that.
Yeah, you don't need to carry a notepad anymore. Yeah. So I just, I put it on my phone and I come back to it.
So you mentioned remind me the frog. What was the name of the frog?
Eat That Frog, I believe is what it's called.
Eat That Frog.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I just read it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Do you have any other, like a couple other ones that you want to throw out?
The very first one I listened to was by David Goggins.
Okay.
It's called Can't Hurt Me. Have you ever heard of him?
I have, yeah.
He's like a 6-time Navy SEAL. He's like one of the baddest guys in the world.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen a ton of his reels before. Yeah,
that dude is awesome. His book really showed me, the importance of like being mentally tough, because as you know, like things happen all the time and life happens and you can get down on yourself and all that kind of stuff. And being mentally tough is very important in this line of work. I mean, you have to be able to adapt and take on things that you don't want to take on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's like, hey, you wanted to do this today? It's always like, you have to do this to this.
And it's really important, to do things that you don't want to do. Like no one wants to go work out. No one wants to do that. But,
definitely not me.
If you make yourself, though, and you do it every day consistently, you're going to love the results, And same thing with business. If you just make yourself do the important things every day, you're going to look up one day and be like, man, my bank account didn't used to be this, like, yeah, that's great.
Well, and I would even say too, like, even if it's not, so just touching on the workout, even if it's not every single day, make it a consistent part of your routine. I've been consistently trying to meditate a few times a week. That's because great. I get super stressed out and overwhelmed with some of the things. I have like 5 or 6 clients at once on one job. I'm doing this on the kids. And so, and because I am the mama bear, I'm kind of like both roles. And so as soon as I walk in the door, I try to like shut down on this
business side
of it. Yep. And how do you do, like, as far as that goes? Like, are you able to just like kind of shut it off as you walk in the door to give your wife and the kids some time?
Right. So again, back to my schedule, I have family time set in there.
Oh, nice.
I got to, you have to be intentional with your time. If you're doing business stuff, do business stuff. If you're at home with the kids, be home with the kids, And I say that, but, there's times when my phone rings, I have to pick it up. I mean,
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So, but I explained that to my family beforehand. Before I quit my job, me and my wife, we talked about what's to come. I knew it was going to be crazy. I knew there's going to be times I might not be getting paid. I knew it would cause stress in the family. I knew I would have sacrificed time with the family. All that stuff is, I knew was coming. So we had that conversation, and she was okay with it.
By the way, his wife is a badass. Just in case, I know her, and she is really fantastic.
She's awesome. She's my number one supporter. Like, she has my back. She believes in me more than I believe in myself, to be honest.
Which is like what all of us want, you know?
And again, I couldn't do anything I'm doing right now without her. Like, she's the best.
And so does she help? I mean, I'm assuming, that she kind of like tells you like, you're going to be here on this day at this time for maybe not like
no. So she doesn't help with
about it.
Yeah. So she doesn't help with my schedule, but she does help me. Like, I delegate tasks to her. Like, I'm like, I need your help with this. Can you help me with it? And I'm really not that good with the computer and Photoshop and all that kind of making flyers and all that kind of stuff. So she handles all that for me. And again, she
social
gives
media guru.
Social media. Yeah. I'm not good with that, but I know it's very important, especially this time. So yeah,
that's something I'm like learning is, so with our company, we're out on the job all day long,
right.
And then when I come home, I'm learning how to put in line like, this is time for the kids.
Right.
Don't look at the phone. Don't think of the phone for these 2 hours because and even if we're just doing dominoes or something simple.
And the same thing with your kids, like make sure they don't have the iPad on them. Make sure that, all you guys' attention is on each other. And, I think, because there's a lot of parents who they're home all day with the kids, but they're not even there with the kids. Like the kids in their room on the iPad and the parents and watching TV or something from. So they're there, but they're not there. When I'm home, I make sure that we're doing stuff as a family. We're playing board games. We're learning something. If we watch TV, we're watching together.
Being present.
Being present.
Present over just participation,
Exactly. So my 2 hours with my kids or 3 hours with my kids is like some people's whole day with their kids because I'm more intentional with the time spent.
So I was talking with my close friend yesterday, and this is something that's just kind of like been weighing in on us, is just television. I mean, we grew up in a society where that is when it's an easy peasy thing to do, and it's way too convenient to get into a show or get into something and your mind is gone. Do you feel that your family is like, do you guys watch a lot of TV or do you find that distracting?
We watch some TV, but to be honest with you, like,
it's not what it used to be.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be for me. Yeah, it's not, I don't get excited about TV no more or like, hey, my show's on. Like, matter of fact, like, same thing with the radio. Like, I don't listen to music anymore that much. I rather just, because if I listen to the radio for like 5 or 10 minutes, I find myself feeling like I'm missing out on something I could be learning that could take me to the next level possibly. So
you can still learn from Too Short. And
I know,
E40.
yeah, I know, but I know all the words already. And and that's the thing too. Like if going out partying, chasing women, doing drugs and all that stuff, if that were to make you successful, I would have been successful by now. I would have been the richest guy in the world by now. But that stuff don't get you anywhere. So my focus, my mindset is totally different these days.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I can agree with that. I feel like I grew up on Bay Area, Mac Dre, all that stuff, and then now here I am, like not necessarily Sheryl Crow, but what you ingest, television, music, people, just in your circle.
Exactly, who you're around makes a difference. What you listen to makes a difference. What you're watching makes a difference. And I'm gonna be 35 next week. I'm just now learning that stuff, So I get down on myself sometimes, like, man, you should have been doing this when you were 20, and you would be so much further ahead. But maybe not.
Like we can't do the what ifs. You play that game, and you could really lose quickly on that.
Yeah, and that's how you get depressed too. You get too much in your head. And
so I actually had went to Dance Fest this last year, which it's always been a good time. Like that was my release for quite a few years of just like going. Me and you and your wife, we've all been to a show before. Yeah. But this last time, it was like the last day of the show, and I walked down on, the grass playing or whatever, and just the environment, you could tell like the energy was so much different, and some of it was the performers, but I remember just thinking like, this is it. This is it for me. I see it now, where you're like, okay, now it's time to.
So I don't think the concert or anything changed. I think you changed, and how you
perceive everything.
exactly.
And because as soon as I left the last day, the first day I was so excited just to escape life.
Right,
I
right.
wanted to, because I carry around all of this responsibility. Raves was like a thing where I could go and be a 28-year-old,
Sure.
and
Let
like
loose a
no
little
one's
bit.
judging me
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like thinking like, oh, she didn't get her income, she didn't get that invoices done or something stupid like that.
Right.
And then I realized on the last day, like when I had to go back to reality, I was like, wow, this kind of sucks. Like,
Yeah.
shouldn't you be? It should be the opposite. You
Right.
should be escaping into your reality. Like your reality. How do I say that better? Like your
Well, I know what
reality.
you're saying. I mean, the fact of the matter is, our jobs, whether we like them or not, they're a big part of our life. We do them every day. So it's really important to find what you love, try to make money that way, and
Yeah.
if you could do that, they say you never work a day in your life, so.
Yeah, and if it isn't out there, you can make a job. Just ask me. I will make up any job I need.
Yeah, you can.
Like,
yeah. Yep.
If there's a will, there's a way, and
100%.
then just license that.
Exactly.
LLC on that.
LLCs.
Yeah, just LLC that. Just kind of talking about that and the growth of that you've had. You made this change. Do you think that this change came like as changes like you're like, hey, maybe I shouldn't be like this music affects me. This affects me. Did you physically see, or like was it one thing at a time that you started to see these changes in yourself, or was it a moment, or
I don't think it was a moment. It's just, when I started, changing the way I think and the way I spend money or even see money, we all been taught, save money, find a good job and save money. To me, it's invest money, make that money, it's
Work
currency.
for
Yeah,
you.
work for you and stuff. And when you spend money and invest it and it comes back, 2 times or 3 times what you put out there, it's like, why am I working for? I could be making smarter moves. So I think, it built my confidence up, just, buying something, reselling it, making more money. I'm like, okay, this is where it's at. And I got excited from that, going to work didn't excite me in that kind of way,
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is what I need to be doing. And I just focused all my attention that way.
so when you were focusing in on what you wanted to do, why did you pick real estate? What was kind of
Well-
like that versus something else?
So before my brother-in-law and I opened our business for the car dealership, I needed money.
Mhm.
So we had a house in Gladstone, and I sold that, made like $80K, real numbers again, I don't care. Made that money. I've never had anything close to that in my life. So I took that money and did what I'm talking about now. I reinvested it, and glad I did, because
Well, and you didn't, to sell your own property, you didn't have to have a real estate license at that time, did you?
I did it for sale by owner. So I
Yeah.
just did it myself, which I don't recommend to people because there's a lot that goes involved. And
There's a lot of extra paperwork.
there's a lot of paperwork, and the other side could take advantage of you if you don't know what you're doing. So don't recommend that. But luckily, it turned out okay for me. And again, I've never had that much money in my life, so I wanted to share that with people and help people attain that as well. So I said, why not become a realtor? So and this was like during COVID. So I don't know if I should be saying this, but like during COVID, people were taking off, say, hey, I got COVID. So they get 10 days off and they get with pay. I'm like, okay, let me look up when real estate classes are. So I saw there was one coming up. I'm like, I'm sick,
Yeah.
So I took those 10 days and I became a real estate agent in 10 days. And I guess the rest is history,
Yeah, wait. So you got your thing done in 10 days?
Yeah, and it doesn't happen that fast.
Yeah, I was
normally
gonna
for
say,
people.
it took me like 2 or 3 times.
Well, I was all in.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I was miserable at my job, so I knew, like, I got to get out of here. So, and again, my wife, she has my back. She took care
She's
of the
over here with, like,
household.
flashcards.
She's all good, and, like, I was just in it. Like, those 10 days, if it wasn't real estate, don't talk to me. I need to focus on this. And when you're obsessive about something, it's going to work out.
yeah, hyperfixate on it.
Yes.
Yeah, I could definitely, I can relate to that. Mine was, during 2020, we kept walking into houses that they hadn't even talked to a real estate agent yet.
Man.
And so I had talked to a friend of mine who had been a real estate agent, like I said, for like 20-something years. And he's like, if you have a license that you can just give me a call and hand it over and I can write you a check. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, really?
2 for 1 special. You can pay
Yeah,
on both
so
ends, yeah.
that's what I did was, and my hardest part is, I believe it or not, I have an accountant that does math for me, and my grandma,
Same.
because I'm not really a big math whiz. And so having, that was the hardest part for me on the test, was like all that math.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it's like the township of the cornership.
And it's funny because that's about this much of my job. Like how you asked me a financial question earlier, I just refer that to the,
Because it's
the
all
loan officer and
computerized.
stuff like that. Well, it's not really part of my job description. Like I'm more of the, I'll find houses for you, or I can sell your house for you, or I can point you in the right direction. So that's more my job description as a realtor.
Yeah.
It's not so much the number part. You have loan officers for that. You have a title company who handles all that stuff. It's good to know that kind of stuff so you can make sure that, you can verify the info.
Right. Like you're not just getting one over. Yeah.
Sure. But as far as like, that's my main objective. Like I'm not really into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Do you ever see yourself in the future, like taking on a brokerage role? Because that's big boy money, right?
It is big boy money, but at this time, no. But you never know what the future holds.
Yeah. So do you think in your future you're working more towards, well, I mean, you're working towards both,
Sure.
but what is are you going to grow? Do you have future plans for your car business or
Sure.
for?
So where I'm at this stage of the game for me, this whole year, I just want to do what I did last year, but on a bigger level. I want to sell more houses, find people more houses. I want to sell more cars. And I think if I do that for this next 2 years, then I'll be able to venture out. And I want to do, storage units. I want to have that. I want to have a car wash. I want to have 20 plus houses that I'm able to rent out or sell of my own, and then still do what I'm doing now, but have a team around me to help me out because I can't do all that myself.
Right. I'll say delegate. And that's something like
yes.
I am a control freak when it comes to work. And
It's
so
tough.
I've had a hard time delegating. My guys even got on me when I was I hadn't been to a loadout in like 8 months because I was traveling all the time. Come back and I'm like, I said like one thing to Brian and he's like, stop it. Yeah. He's like, don't tell me how to do my job.
And
I'm
got
like,
it now. Yeah.
You're right. Mm-hmm. Like I've delegated this, walk away, like let it happen. Because as you get bigger, you're really trusting these people to, handle your business for you.
Yeah, and for us, like that's the next level, right? Like, so when you're in a 9-to-5 mentality, you just do the work that they give you.
Yeah.
And then when you become an entrepreneur like us, now you're doing all the work yourself.
Yeah.
But to get to the next level, I think delegating, tasks to other people who can do it.
Qualified.
Qualified, obviously. If you delegate it to the right people, you could be way more successful with a good team around you than you can by yourself.
Yeah, no, and especially the more money you start, with real estate and vehicles and stuff, that's paperwork and money that you just, I would hire. I'm assuming you hired an accountant off the Jump Street.
I do everything myself.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm still learning.
Oh, okay.
A great quote that my broker always says is build the plane as you fly it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to steal that.
And that changed my life, know, because as you said earlier, before starting my business, I didn't want to start it because I wasn't ready, right? Yeah. And I didn't feel like I had everything in place. It's not the right time. But just do it, man. I mean, if you just do it,
then the possibilities are really endless.
It's going to work out. If you have passion and belief, those two things, and stay consistent, I mean, it's gonna work out eventually.
Well, I'm a firm believer that the most expensive thing in this world is time.
Yes.
And so, like, whether you're working for somebody else 9 to 5 for, even, and I'm not knocking anyone that works hourly at all.
Not at all.
The most I've ever made hourly is about $30, and that you compare that to a T-shirt or a Chiefs hoodie. Yeah. I got to work 2 hours of my life to get one Chiefs hoodie, and it's like that's where I'm very much like I have to understand. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make literal sense.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so that's always been the motivation for me was when Isabel was in the hospital and stuff like that. Yeah, I, was working side jobs and things like that. I would buy off of, but I just always wanted like more. You always want more. Yeah. And I couldn't ever keep myself to like, this is enough. Like if you threw out a 401k and an insurance plan and, $35 an hour, I still couldn't. I mean, even if it was like $50 an hour.
See, and I think that's my thing. That's why I was so miserable at my job because I found myself, trying to get $2 more an hour or $3 more
And you're
an
like
hour.
fighting them
And
for
I'm
it.
like fighting them for it. I'm like competing with all these other people who are trying to get it too. I'm like, $3 an hour is not going to change my life at all. You know, so when you
It's
start,
like grocery money
it is, man.
after it gets
And
taxed.
yeah, and sometimes you don't even notice it on your check after taxes, right? Or if you put it extra in your 401k, you're not even going to notice the difference. So to me, like, again, my mindset just changed. Like, I need to own the business, not work for a business. You know?
Do you think when you went to go and do all this paperwork and things like that to become legal in your business, are you in Kansas and Missouri? I guess should have asked that first.
My dealership's in Kansas, but I'm licensed in Kansas and Missouri for my
For your real estate. Okay.
Correct.
So I know when I first started my store back in 2018, it was, you know, I'm a poor white kid from Wyandotte that didn't graduate more than ninth grade. All this is hustle, baby. That's all I learned. That in books, podcasts, other people, mentors. And so the resources just aren't there. Did you have the same issue with yours?
100%. And I still feel that a little bit, like in real estate. Like, I see people, you know, they're selling these $1 million homes on the regular. I'm like, how do you get in touch with these people? But that's their sphere of influence. Like, that's their people who they're already around. So for me, I feel like I'm having to claw my way up to the top, you know, but it's okay, you know.
Because you weren't born in the circle, so now you got to walk into that room.
Now I got to go shake hands and be in that circle and show them I'm qualified to be in the circle, you know. So I definitely feel that for sure.
What steps have you taken? For me personally, I put myself in a bunch of networking groups on Facebook to try to get in. COVID messed that up, but I'm trying to, that's my goal. One of my goals for 2023 is to get in more networking groups to become more just like personable. I mean, I am kind of already personable person, but I think COVID really just gave me like a whole level of anxiety that I'm like, it's hard. It weirdly has become hard for me to go into a group and just talk to 50 people now.
Yeah.
And do you find that, like, with you, number one, I guess, was what have you done to try to network yourself?
Well, I'm doing it right now. You know, first of all, I'm terrified to be here. Like, you know, I don't feel like I'm qualified to be here. Like, I don't know, you know, stuff like that.
He was all like, why do you want me?
Yeah, why do you want me? I'm just starting off. But, no, I mean, you just got to take that leap. You know what I'm saying? You got to jump. You know, you got to put yourself out there.
Do it scared.
Do it scared.
It's my favorite thing.
I'm terrified right now. Like, still talking to you, like, I'm pretty scared, but I'm doing it anyway, you know. And I know, kind of go back to what I was saying, you know, things you don't want to do, you need to do them because that's going to take you to the next level. That's going to, I mean, it shows you're growing, right? Yeah. When you do stuff that you're scared of. So I embrace that stuff now rather than run away from it. I used to always run away from it. Now I'm just like, fuck it, let's do it.
No, me too. Like confrontation specifically, like if I thought it could have been a learning experience for me, but I'm like, oh, that, you know, that could lead to this or could lead to that. And I'm like, I don't want to influence wrong or, you know, I don't want to do the wrong thing because it's on there forever. But at this point, it's like, fuck it,
just be yourself, man. People will appreciate it or they won't. And if they don't appreciate it, it's not for them. You know, it's for somebody else.
Well, and jokingly, I was talking with someone the other day about like TikTok changed the game because now everybody thinks that like we all have this following, even if we don't. All these strangers are giving us all this stuff. So it's like, well, if you don't like me, even though that, you know, you're my next door neighbor, there's 15,000 people on TikTok. Right. And before that, you were stuck with I feel like we've become literally a social society. Yeah, yeah. And sure. That I think makes it very important to do like podcasts, like you were saying, stuff like that, because then we need more human interaction. Right. Are you a part of any, I mean, other than your elite, do you do any like social networkings in person?
I do not. I need to get better at that. But honestly, this whole first year has been grind. So I haven't had time to branch out. Build your name, yeah. But I will. I mean, that's definitely one of my goals this year is to get out there more, shake more hands, knock on doors. You know, door knocking is scary because you don't know whose door it is. You don't know if they're going to appreciate you knocking on their door or not. But
you're going to get cussed out or throwing a pie in your face. Exactly. Yeah,
calling people, like cold calling people.
I hate cold calls.
I do too, but, you know, and I haven't really done it this year. So I got to get better at all that. You know, I got to do it.
Yeah, I always got to get my my Brittany voice going. Hi, this is Abigail with Treasure Nest. How are you today?
Your professional voice.
Yeah, professional voice. And then I'm scared at some point a client's gonna watch these podcasts and be like,
"So you were fake this whole time?"
Yeah. Right.
No, but I think it. You know, just be. I mean, you have a great personality, so I think just calling and being yourself I think that'll get you further than your professional voice would, you know?
Yeah, and I think the professional voice is great for opening icebreakers a little bit, because I think my personality, though I think, thank you for that, I think it's strong.
Yeah.
And so I've had to learn over the years to not be so aggressive.
Tone it down a little bit.
Tone it down a little bit, like until we get in the door. And then all of a sudden we can start cracking jokes and stuff. But when you first meet me and the tattoos and I'm loud and I'm like, oh, okay, Abigail, just take it down a notch. She's 85 years old. You know, like,
yeah, and that's the thing too. Like the older generation, they might not appreciate all the tattoos and all the stuff like that. So, but again, man, be yourself, and I think that'll take you a lot further than just trying to be what you want them, what you think they want you to be. Right?
I definitely think that authenticity sells, because like I only have two businesses that like are profitable, and then I have a couple of project piece LLCs. But one of my first businesses, I was like 18 years old, got a big credit card, a little $5,000 credit card, went and started a t-shirt company. And I just felt like it was more for the audience I thought would want it, and not, like you said, like the authenticity wasn't there. It flopped. And that was a huge eye-opener, that is like, if you're going to go out there and start an LLC and you're going to spend this money, then definitely tune out everything else, everybody else, you know, like not even just the naysayers on the internet or whatever, but like even your grandma.
Dude, your friends and family.
Your friends and family are haters. Like,
well, I wouldn't even say, you know.
That's overused. But
I feel like they do want what's best for you.
They mean well.
They mean well, but they're in the 9-to-5 mindset. You know, save money.
Security.
Security and, 401k. And I'm like, I can make so much more money than my 401k can provide for me, so why don't I chase that? But they didn't chase that, so they don't even know about it. They don't even know that's an option. They haven't done it. It's just
very scary.
It's scary, you know, and they want what's best for you. So I don't think it always comes out of ill intent. I think sometimes, you know, they just don't know about it, so they don't want you to go that way because they don't want you to fail. But I encourage my kids to fail. Like I get excited when my kids fail something, because that's seriously, because that's an opportunity for me to be like, okay, look, you sucked right now. Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
So I just picture you being like, ha, you got hit with a dodgeball.
Oh, well, not like, I don't make fun of them, but I mean, I always tell them, hey, you sucked at that. That's okay. Now let's keep working at it. And like 2 weeks later, he's got it down. I'm like, see what I mean? 2 weeks ago, you sucked, but you kept at it. You kept at it. And now, do you suck now? No, I'm pretty good, Dad.
Because that'll carry on into all of the different aspects. And I think like that is something that us entrepreneurs, you know, I'm not first generation, but my dad was in the service for a long time. And so that kind of is like a 9-to-5, and it's a 24/7, but you know what I mean? And then as he came home to the United States, he, you know, does all the different things. Here as entrepreneur, he owns multiple businesses and stuff. But I think it's really important, like we're sowing this into our kids. So then when it does come to, I think the college fund is kind of for us and our family at least, we're not really saying like, hey, we're doing this college fund. We're doing your life fund, man. We're setting this aside because when you hit 18, 19 and you want to go to Italy and do this or that, and go ahead, because whether you go to college or not, it's not really helping in the current market.
I'm honestly not even big on sending my kids to college. If he wants to go to college, I will 100% support him. I'll pay for it, all that, 100%. But if he doesn't go to college, I'm not like heartbroken about it. You know, I'd prefer he didn't go to college for real, because I think I can show him a lot more than...
You can build your own curriculum at home.
Yeah, and, you know, failing and, you know, learning all that stuff, that's going to help you succeed way more than I think college will. College is kind of overrated.
It definitely depends. So if you want to become a doctor, let's not take Adam's curriculum. Like, let's go to, I don't know, Yale or something. But
I guess I'm just talking from the business
100%
owner side of it. It's not that important, but I mean, obviously, if you got to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, you need college.
You definitely need college. I would say,
100%.
like, I did go back to JUCO a couple of times in my younger years, just trying to get a grasp. Again, I didn't even graduate high school, so I'm learning all of this as I go. And there are good programs that JUCO offers and KCK offers. There's a ton online that is just a simple certificate, or not even a certificate, but like, it's not about the credits at this point. Like, F those credits if you're not going to do the whole degree. But if you want to take a business class of intro to business,
that'd be good.
A thing I've struggled with my business is accounting. You know, like I made $500,000 in net sales last year, or I said that wrong.
Gross
Gross
sales.
sales last year. That freaked me out.
Same.
You know, that's a lot of money, and
Yep.
I don't want the IRS thinking that I have. And
Right.
so I had to really sit down in these last few months, and I sat down with a close mentor and friend of mine that she was like, okay, we're taking it back to basics. You have to learn these things.
Yeah.
And taking those necessary classes online, even if it's just one class.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely, there are some people out there that are smarter than you, but I do agree 100% that a infrastructure or a university isn't the only way.
No, it's not. Yeah.
You know, there's
And we've been programmed to think, hey,
yeah.
go to school, get good grades, and then go to college, and then find a good job, and then save money. And to me, all that's backwards. I wouldn't do none of that. You know,
I was saying,
but I will definitely. And if my son does go to college, I'm gonna make sure he knows build relationships there, because these kids are obviously smart. Their parents will probably have money to send them there, so build relationships with these people, and then when you get out of college, you know, you can venture.
it's a big networking thing,
Yeah,
you know, like
huge.
experience while you're there, but definitely embrace the networking and the culture,
Right.
whatever school you go to.
Right.
Because if you're not traveling, or, you know, it doesn't even have to be traveling outside of your city, but if you're not exploring different segments, I know that there are people that I grew up with off like 18th and Central that they have no intention of crossing that Johnson County line.
Right.
There's
It's like,
nothing.
Yeah,
They're
think
in their,
small little world.
small little
Yeah,
world,
They
and
think going 30 minutes is gonna be like the end of the world, or I'm like,
or it's a whole, and it is a whole different diet, you know, diagraphic wise from Johnson County to Wyandotte. You know, it's like day and night.
Sure,
the
sure.
joke the Simba joke or whatever, people say don't go to the other land,
right.
but it's kind of sad. You know, I want my kids to, my daughters, they're going to Blue Valley, you know, and so I try to instill in Giselle, I'm like, I forget what we did for this little kid's birthday party, but we did something for this little boy's birthday party and went to like a jumping thing. And Giselle, she was asking like, well, why didn't we do, you know, this or that? And I'm like, these other kids, she just wasn't used to it. You know what I'm saying?
Different
and like
upbringing.
different upbringing, you know. Until recently, we are from Wyandotte, you know, and we did just moved out there because Isabel needs better schooling.
Right.
And for special ed kids, it's non-existent in Wyandotte pretty much for
sad.
good education. So we up and sold our house and moved to Johnson County. And I remember getting like a lot of just weird flack about that, you know, and it's so silly when you say it out loud.
Right.
But a lot of people are really just stuck in that mindset of like, if you're, you know, you're not going to do anything more from there.
Yeah, and going back to what we said earlier, you know, who you're around makes all the difference. You got to get away from small-minded people.
Yeah.
You know, because we're trying to do something big, right? I mean, I got big goals, but I know in the back of my mind, God can have something way bigger than that.
Right.
So I'm never going to achieve that if my mind is, you know, stuck in the small mind, you know.
Well, and
small-minded
allowing
thinking.
that to feed you, you know, we were talking about the television and the radio and all of that. Yeah, that plays a huge part on your mental.
And really, that's all trash. I mean, they're just feeding us trash.
I mean, it really, so to keep yourself entertained when you have all of these things, like you said, your list every day.
Right.
And so I'm going to take a wild guess that you don't just stop on number 6 at 5:00 to go sit down and watch Grey's Anatomy, and you're like, oh, I'll get to the other stuff tomorrow, you know.
Right.
But a lot of people have been programmed that they're like, oh, well, I want to be a boss, but I want to be a boss on my time.
Well, I think people want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're in the business world, like being comfortable and all that stuff, that's not going to help your business at all.
Yeah.
You know,
you gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's it. You know, and we all hear that all the time, but saying it's one thing and doing it's a whole nother beast. You know, it's a whole nother beast. So yeah, you just got to do it, man. And like, once you do a few things that you don't want to do, you're going to grow some confidence. You know, your brain, you're going to grow a callus around your brain. Like, hey, I can do anything I want to do, you know, and you're going to psych yourself out, and then you really can do anything you want to do.
Yeah. Some people say I have like this BDE. I don't want big dick energy.
There you go.
Sorry, Grandma. I carry that with me because I'm from a big family. I'm the only girl and I'm the youngest, so I've always had that little thing.
Chip
like,
on your
I literally have Chip from Beauty and the Beast on my shoulder.
There you go.
Because I'm like, no, you're not gonna tell me. Now, again, that's not the best outlook always to have, because I will face plant, but then I'll get like right back up and do my little, little dance. But you kind of always, as an entrepreneur, you have to have that energy, because there's going to be 1,001 people coming back at you like, hey, you know, that wasn't right. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have said that. Right.
And you have to learn like to take all the negative stuff and have that fuel your fire. You know, you have to have that help you
like rechannel.
Rechannel, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's very important.
Yeah. So we've touched base on the consistency. We've touched base on just like how important it is to, I guess, plant this seed and for your business and for your children's business. If you had to give like an entrepreneur that was starting out today and a step or like start one with a resource that you'd be able to give out, like, do you have just like a piece of advice, I guess would be a better way to put it?
Again, find something that you really love. Find something that you're passionate about, you know, that you want to do every day, and find a way to make money off that. And if you can do that, you know,
you can,
you'll be all good. And one more thing, I guess, would be find your why. You know, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Because if you have a strong enough why, that's going to propel you when it's hard. You know, when the days are hard and you're not sure if you should be doing this, think back to that why. Why am I doing this? And that's going to motivate you, and that's going to be your fuel to the fire.
Well, and before you started these two businesses, have you ever tried to venture out on doing anything extra? You were always in your lane.
I was always just in my lane, just 9 to 5, you know, working. But I got tired of it, and I had to find something else, you know. So I just did a side hustle while I was doing my 9 to 5, and
it prospered.
I said, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming out today. Before you leave, I do want to hear just a couple of those podcasts. I interrupted you earlier. I want to put them on my list. I have I got a couple on.
So I got a few that I would tell you to read in this order. So
okay.
The first one is the David Goggins Can't Hurt Me.
Okay.
Another one would be Relentless by Tim S. Grover.
Okay.
That's a good one. He
Sounds
was like
super familiar.
Yeah, he was like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's trainer.
Okay.
And you know, like those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a basketball fan,
exactly,
so yeah.
So they're elite. You know what I'm saying? Those guys. He was their trainer, and he has a great book. Another one would be The Compound Effect.
Okay.
That's a great one.
What's that one about?
That pretty much it shows you like if you change your life just in the smallest way, but you do that every day.
The consistency.
Yeah. I mean, it really shows you that it don't take big changes. It's little changes, but it'll make a big difference in your life.
Yeah.
So that's a good one too.
Yeah. Awesome. No, I'm going to have to check all those out.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, do you have any socials that you want to throw out?
I'm on Facebook. Adam Mora. I mean, you can find me on there.
Yeah.
You know, it's public, so you can find me on there, and I got all my stuff on there. And I'm on TikTok too, Adam Mora 24.
Oh shit! I didn't even know you were on TikTok. I'm gonna have to go.
I got like 15 videos on there. I'm not doing a whole lot, but again, I got to get better this year and put myself out there. And this is definitely a start right here. So I appreciate you making me do this. And
no problem. I am so happy that you just, because I know you were so nervous, and we were talking about that last night and this morning. You were like, I'm nervous. I'm like, bro, it's gonna be so easy.
Yeah,
like, it's
you made it easy, so I really appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Thank you for coming, and thank you guys all for joining us today with Adam, and learning just about his small businesses and the consistency that it takes to run a small business and kind of just be all around business savvy person. So thank you so much, Adam, and thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.